Information is power.
What's up, everybody? I'm back. Let's get into it right now. You already been hearing about some of the things that's been happening on the streets of Minneapolis, Minnesota, with all the ICE taking the lives of people. Just to give you a little review here, you have this man right here, 37-year-old nurse with the VA, Alex Preddy, had his life taken away. As far as I saw on the video, it looked like the man had a cell phone and they had to take his weapon out of his holster before they shot him 5 times. So that was a shame, right? Let's get to Goods. Y'all all know the story of Goods. Some say, oh, she hit the ICE officer. Some say, no, she didn't. But we know that she got shot with the fatal shot, the third bullet that took her life. And come to find out that the autopsy report shows that she could have made it had they gotten care to her. And there was a doctor on the scene that said he wanted to help her, but that didn't happen. So they've been getting a lot of attention. These particular cases have been getting a lot of attention, ladies and gentlemen. But the one case that nobody seems to want to talk about, make an emphasize on, and I'm going to emphasize it because this is the Information Man show, is we have another brother, a brother who has also lost his life. This is a brother that has lost his life because of an off-duty ICE agent. There he is, Keith Porter. His family is looking for justice. They're looking for there to be a probe because there's some fishy things going on in this case. Come to find out that brother Keith Porter, may he rest in peace. They did a night vigil. They did a second night vigil for him. This whole thing is a shame. This brother was born in 1982. Hell, in 82, I was like, 12 or something years old. Born 1982 to 2026. Rest in power to brother Keith Porter. But this whole thing is a shame because this man has 2 daughters that will be without a father because of one man who took his life, who harmed him that night. A man that was in his own apartment who heard shots on New Year's Eve. Should have called the police because he's not a street police. He was not within his jurisdiction. And that's this Brian Palacios. We got his name now, Brian Palacios. Here he is. Take a look at him. This is the man, off-duty ICE agent, who took the life of brother Porter. And Porter, they celebrated. He had a funeral just on the 23rd of this month, celebrating the life of Keith Porter and his family. The funeral services details for Keith Porter Jr. was this past Tuesday, January the 23rd, 2026. It was at 11 a.m. located in Faithful Central, the Living Room, 400 West Florence Avenue, Inglewood, California, 90301. Note, the cameras or photographs inside media interviews will take place outside the church. Porter's family, backed by several civil rights groups, continue to demand justice. Okay? Justice and independent oversight in what they say is a deeply troubling, avoidable loss. As calls grow louder, the public will be watching closely for answers and action. It's a damn shame. This is what you got going on, everybody. It's a damn shame. This man took his life. Let me give you a little bit of secret. I'm going to play an actual press conference. It was really a grassroots press conference by the lawyer for the Keith Porter family, saying that they feel that there could be some racial vibes to this shooting. There could be some strange stuff going on. The whole thing is unfortunate. Let me tell you why. This man right here, Brian Palacios, according to some reports, they're saying that this man has a history of racism, bigotry, and that he also has a history of some domestic abuse. There's some that are, this is alleged, everybody, this is alleged, that the lawyer is saying that there's stuff coming out The news is talking about it, that he may be a child abuser. That's alleged. A domestic abuser is alleged, that this Palacios might be just such that individual. And if he is, I believe that technically you should not have access to a firearm, which he used. I think under California law, you're not to have access to a firearm when you do something of this nature. Let me show you an article right out of the Guardian right here. Family of a man killed by off-duty ICE agent in Los Angeles demand charges. The echoes will never go away after Renee Good killing in Minneapolis calls grow for accountability in the shooting of Keith Porter Jr. on New Year's Eve. Let me read the law to you in California about domestic disputes as it relates to you having a firearm right here. And it says here, California enacted some of its nation's strongest laws to protect victims of domestic violence from abuse, threats, and violence from firearms. Although significant implementation gaps remain, okay? Now let me read where it's highlighted. If they have been convicted of domestic violence related crimes, or while they are currently subject to court restraining orders against domestic violence, or other restraining orders such as civil harassment, restraining orders for people who do not have a family or dating partner relationships with the restrained person. Let me read this highlighted part right here. People who become disqualified from processing firearms due to domestic violence and safety, we witness their firearms and do not illegally retain them to use to threaten or harm the victims or any stakeholders. Let me put myself back up here again. So basically, in a nutshell, if Brian Palacios, if this goofball, this ICE goon here, if he actually has any restraining order on him because of a abuse of a child, if the family of his child in any way or fashion don't want him around the child, if there's a court order that says he can't have visitation without there being supervision, if there's a court order that says he can't have any of these things, there's a possibility that even though he's an ICE agent, that he's not supposed to have firearms. And we know that Donald Trump and his administration have lowered the requirements to become an ICE agent. It's 47 days. They've gotten rid of all the physical requirements, and they're not getting full training. The man who shot Renee Good, they said that he was the guy that trained ICE officers on use of gun safety and use. And you see, of all those years, you saw what he did. So the question is, will Keith Porter get the justice that he deserves in this society? Because while everyone is talking about what happened to Alex Privet, which is a shame, what happened to that man who was a nurse. It's a damn shame that there's nobody talking about this brother right here, Keith Porter. Keith Porter needs your support, everybody. The family is looking for justice. Here's a picture of him right here. He liked to fish. I think he was a 49er fan. I'm a 49er fan. And so let me get into the actual video of the family's press conference. And then here's another picture right here of a visual. They lined all the candles up. They had a second visual. I'm going to show you the video to that. But the family needs justice, y'all. They need 100% justice. And we're not getting that because he's a black man. I understand why there's a lot of attention on Renee Good and the other man, Alex Pruitt. I understand why they're getting the attention. Let's be honest. They're white people. But the thing that's crazy about this is that we as black people have warned white people about police brutality. So all the things that ICE is doing out there, the regular police have been doing that to black people for as long as we can remember. Black people were the ones telling you that there was corruption within the police forces. We've been telling you that the white supremacist groups and white nationalist groups have infiltrated all forms of law enforcement. And of course, the ICE agents are infiltrated by all those January 6 individuals who are now ICE agents and enjoying what they're doing. But black people, we have sounded the alarm. We said there was a problem. And now that white people are catching a little piece of what we experience and have experienced, now all hell is broken loose and they don't like it. But we were warning you about this. And when we give the warning, nobody wanted to listen to us. And now white people on the streets of Minneapolis and around this country are catching hell from ICE. Don't get it twisted. There have been some black people here and there who have been impacted by ICE in terms of ICE stopping them, asking for ID, so on and so forth. These things have happened. So let's go and let you hear the family's press conference right here. Like so. Check this out.
Obviously, we are all here today because we believe potentially the shooter has been identified. When I was first contacted by LA Times regarding this, I issued
right there. Quote, he's the one.
Should this individual be confirmed as the person responsible for Keith's death based off of his deeply disturbing past allegations? It is unimaginable that any human being with a conscience on this earth could regard him as a hero.
Right. They regarded this man as a hero because he shot, because he took the life and shot brother Keith Porter. So that's what they tried to corner him as a hero. But this man, Palacios, has a history. Brian Palacios has a deep history from what we're hearing. This is what the lawyer is getting ready to break down, that he has a history of racism. They believe it could have been racially motivated for him to do what he did to him. And that he also should have never had a firearm because he may have some domestic abuse in his history. Okay, this is alleged. And Keith Porter, brother Keith Porter, I'm going to put him up here again like so. Brother Keith Porter was celebrating on that night. Just to remind everybody, he was celebrating New Year's. That's why he had a weapon. And he was shooting it in the air. I don't always recommend something like that, but he was having a celebration. This fool should have called the local police and not taken matters into his own hands. But let's hear the rest.
I think I speak for the family and the community at large. The disdain when we saw that initial statement released characterizing this individual as a hero. I think regardless of our political beliefs, whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Democrat, as humans, we can all agree that the most vulnerable individuals in our society, children, need to be protected. And when we looked into the potential background of this individual and saw the history of alleged domestic violence, child abuse, and rape.
So now let me correct something. This individual has a history not only of child abuse, but other domestic violence issues, which means he should not have potentially a firearm based on the laws in California. If he has any restraining orders, if there's any police report on him, anything of any sensitive nature like this, they may look at him as he shouldn't have a firearm because he's a violent man. And he took the life of this young brother. And nobody's talking about it, ladies and gentlemen. I understand what's happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I've done some videos about this on my political channel. I have a new political channel, but I'm building that up on the side. I've talked about what's happening with those individuals, Nate Good and Alex Predick. But no one's talking about this brother right here. And it needs to be it needs to be talked about.
Racism. I think all of us here agree there is no place for that in our society, especially when you then put a uniform, a ICE uniform on that individual and hand him a gun.
Facts.
In light of the information
Tell the truth.
in the LA Times article, as well as the court filings that has been brought to our attention, we have the following questions of ICE. Does this individual still have access to a firearm? Is this individual still patrolling the community in a ICE uniform? Was his background ever checked prior to allowing him to carry a firearm and wear an ICE uniform?
Stop it right there. Very good point. Because as you may know, there has been questions about these ICE agents because they have lowered, as I said earlier in this video, they have lowered the requirements for wearing that uniform. That's problematic. If this man has a background of domestic abuse, abuse to a child, allegedly, and he also has a background of being a racist, could that have played a role in him taking the life of our dear brother right here, Brother Keith Porter? If he had racial issues, that means he didn't like black people, so that would motivate him. 2, if he had a history with anger issues, issues with abusing people, then that would speak to his character, his lack of composure. And he should have called the local police and let the local police handle it if such a situation happened. The thing about this, I'm going to say again, is that there is no reports of anyone witnessing Keith Porter firing his firearm at Brian Palacios. There is no witnesses to what Palacios was saying, that he fired his, and then there's sort of some unsubstantiated rumor about, well, yeah, there's some bullet fragments in the ceilings or whatever. What ceilings? Would that mean that he went in a man's house? Would that mean that Keith Porter went in his house? Why would there be bullet in the ceilings to prove that he shot at him, or that he shot at him while he was down the stairs or on the street? There's nothing been substantiated, and the family is looking for an open probe on this.
Where is this individual now? On the day of the incident, was he tested for drugs and alcohol prior to LAPD releasing him back into the community?
Good point.
What steps is ICE taking to ensure members of the Los Angeles community are safe and there is not a repeated tragedy such as the one that happened to Keith and his family? What measures are in place to monitor the behaviors and actions of ICE officers with potential histories of violence? How will ICE address community concerns regarding accountability for their officers? What transparency can the public expect now that we have this information regarding the investigation and the findings as to this individual's background? And what policies are in place to prevent individuals with histories of domestic violence and racism from serving for ICE? Our next steps with this information is to contact LAPD. We certainly are providing them all of this information. We are demanding a complete and thorough investigation, but we're not just stopping with LAPD. We are contacting the elected officials, and even more so, we are moving on and asking that the Attorney General, Rob Bonta, conduct an independent investigation. Based off of these allegations, this could be race-related and certainly a hate crime.
Now, I hear what the lawyer is saying for the family. Let's keep this in mind. This is Los Angeles, California. I don't trust him as far as I could throw a stick at a dog or throw. I don't trust the LAPD. I don't trust any of the law enforcement in California. They have, especially in Southern California, they have a bad history when it comes to dealing with our people and how they see us as criminals and how demonstrative they can be. But let's continue with what the brother is saying here.
We want not just change for our family, but change for the community to ensure nobody has to suffer the way this family is suffering. Thank you. At this point, I would like to turn it over to anybody from the family who would like to speak.
Um, we're glad that this information has finally been released.
Just a second.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
They're very emotional.
My name
It's a very emotional situation for the family.
is Nikita Armstrong Phillips. I'm Franciola's cousin. Keith Porter was my nephew. We are glad that this information has finally been released. We're hoping that now we can finally receive justice for Keith, and what that means for our family is that this individual will be charged. We, as Jamal said, we do have questions. Because he had an open domestic violence case, where our questions are, why did this man still have a gun?
Wow, that is a good point. That's a good point, everybody. He has, so that clears it up. He has an open domestic violent case. And when you have that type of record, or even if it's open, and I read the law to you, when it comes to things like firearms, they can say that you can't have them. So therefore, that should automatically disqualify him from even being an ICE agent. But then again, under Donald Trump, the grand wizard in the White House, they've lowered the requirements.
Why wasn't that gun taken from him? Because it seems like if there was an open case, that gun should have been taken, and this was presented.
That's right,
So
sister.
that's one of the main questions that our family has. And
Right.
We're just continuing to seek justice for Keith.
Right.
Thank you.
Do you mind, I'm sorry, spelling your full name?
That's the mother right there.
Nakeda, Armstrong Phillips, Phillips. Thank you.
At this time, if you guys have any questions, feel free. We will address the questions. Hearing no questions,
Can you elaborate on what Ms. Phillips said regarding the fact that, I mean, you truly believe too that this could have been prevented if he did not have access to a gun, or was not allowed to have access to a gun, if these claims are in fact true? These allegations could have also happened.
yes, addressing her concerns, I echo in that sentiment. Anytime an individual has a history of domestic violence and that history is brought forth in court documents, certainly that was discoverable. So at this stage, we are left puzzled, questioning what due diligence, if any, did ICE do either before hiring him or after. So
ICE didn't do any due diligence, my brother, because under Donald Trump's administration, they have lowered. That's why you've got people getting shot. Now, they said they were going after illegals that were here illegally and that were here illegally, and they have a criminal background. The people that have taken a bullet and lost their life, they're all Americans. And so he's asking the question, why is it that this was overlooked? It was overlooked, my brother, because Donald Trump and the DOJ and the Homeland Security, the whole 9 yard, they have lowered the requirements. Back to it.
it appears as though either it was a negligent hire or negligent retention, because this information certainly could be discovered.
One more follow-up question. Last time I was here, you talked about how you were looking for any kind of evidence or even witnesses to corroborate the claims from DHS about Mr. Porter being a threat and actually pointing a gun and shooting at the ICE agent. Are you guys still, any evidence pop up? What's kind of the status on that?
There has been not a single witness to come forward to indicate that they thought they were in fear of their safety from Keith Porter Jr. that night. This
Boom, stop it right there.
A premeditated.
Nobody, I said this before, nobody has come forward as a witness to say that Keith Porter was a loose cannon that night. Nobody so far.
Isolated incident by somebody with a racial history who hunted him down and killed him steps away from his house. And it's not just us who have been looking. I mean, if you look around this room, we are joined with several members of the community. This community has been demanding action and justice, and we have found nothing to corroborate the version that was put forth and released by this alleged ICE officer. Any other questions?
So I don't mean to blindside you with this, but I just ended up talking to Mr. Palacios, the defense attorney, about 15 minutes ago. He did in fact confirm that he was the person. So sorry, spread that on the wall. I just want to see if you want to respond to what they had. So they're obviously responding to some of the allegations.
Sure.
The main contention that she is raising, speaking of defense attorney, and I assume you told
So basically, right now, the defense attorney for this man, Brian Palacios, the young man that's speaking at the press conference, is saying that his attorney is making the claim that Keith Porter actually pulled his weapon or his firearm out and attempted to shoot at Palacios. That's the argument that they're making from the lawyer for this man right here, who has a allegedly domestic violence history with abuse to children, a child, or someone in that of that nature, allegedly that's come out, that has been alleged. And he also has a history of racism, and that's been alleged as well. I just want to make it clear that he's claiming that this man right here, Keith Porter, who really is not getting any sort of national huge attention as the other two people that we are familiar with right now, when it comes to Miss Goods, and when it comes to Alex Pratty. Let's go back to this.
the story that like, he got some preliminary evidence that there may have been bullet impacts behind where this person was standing. She's repeating that claim, which is just claiming that he fired at the agent. So I don't know if you have responded to that or wanted to respond.
No, but I will address that. That evidence hasn't been brought forth to us, right? And certainly we're open to looking at all the facts. But what we do know is there wasn't a single person who's come forward who said they felt in danger of their safety and they wanted this ICE agent to intervene. What we do know is LAPD is trained and they are on the way to address the situation. What we do know is the attorney addressed that, but didn't address his allegations in the court findings for racism.
She just, that's sorry, I didn't make that part. She did deny them. Like, that's obviously, that's all I wanted to know.
Okay, so certainly I understand the denial, but it was enough that a judge granted a restraining order. So certainly there's some level of corroboration, and it's consistent with the type of individual who claims gunshots was coming closer to his home, yet he didn't stay in his home, a place of safety. He grabbed a firearm, left his home, tracked down an individual who was steps away from his home and killed him.
Now that's a good point. You hear firearms going off, and the safety would be to stay in your home and then pick up the phone, call the police, and say, hey, I hear firearms outside of my home. Can you please get the police over here at such and such address? That's what he should have done, to let the local police handle it. But by leaving his house, now I'm just making this inference. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm just saying he left the safety of his place, went outside and tried to interject himself into something, and then Porter ends up dead by this man Palacios. Brian Palacios takes his life. So he had no business interfering in a situation like that, but he felt emboldened because he's an ICE agent. And it sounds to me like he should have never been an ICE agent because they've lowered the requirements. And the man has a history. And he should have just called the police, the local police, and let them look into it and handle it. But instead, he took the law. He became judge, executioner, all rolled up into one that night. Brother Keith Porter was simply celebrating the New Year's, and he was popping his whipping off in the air. I wouldn't personally recommend doing that personally, but that's no reason for him to lose his life. A lot of people traditionally will do that on New Year's Eve. It's not an uncommon situation. Let's go.
Right. So the alleged need for self-defense is self-serving, in my opinion. right? And unfortunately, there are no witnesses to corroborate what he's saying happened.
No witnesses. None. All right. Let's go to the next video. I want to show you guys real quick here. Thank you for watching, staying with the channel, hanging with me. Make sure you share this video on all your social media. If you're getting extra great value with my channel, I'll be popping more videos out. I didn't go live on Sunday, this past Sunday, but I'm going to keep giving you value. We're going to talk about some more stuff. I'm thinking about talking about the situation with Corey Holcomb, the whole Corey Holcomb situation. Allegations have come out, well, video has come out showing that he indeed did put his hands on the female comedian. But yet when he was confronted by Antoine Daniels, I may touch on that topic. I still want to touch on the topic of ICE and their relationship to these white nationalist gangs, as I would call them. But let me show you the last piece of the video today. This is the actual news report, which is a little bit of what you saw there, but it's a overall news report, not that long at all. And let's get at it right now.
We're left puzzled, questioning what due diligence, if any, did ICE do either before hiring him or after.
Now at 8, the family of a man shot to death by an off-duty ICE agent demanding justice as disturbing claims come out about that agent's past. Good evening, everybody. You're watching LA Live News tonight at 8 o'clock. I'm Marla Tejas.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Phil Schuman. Christine Devine has the night off. And tonight, the family of that man who was shot to death is looking for justice.
He was shot on New Year's Eve by an off-duty ICE agent. We want to go live to Fox 11's Rachel Aragon with the latest tonight. Rachel?
Think of these new allegations first reported by the LA Times recently. The family and their attorney telling me they believe this crime could qualify as a, quote, hate crime or race related. Well, I spoke to the attorney today for that off-duty ICE officer, and she tells me her client, that officer, is denying all claims of racial remarks and all claims and allegations of abuse.
We're hoping that now we can finally receive justice for Keith.
The family of Keith Porter and their attorney is speaking
Yes.
out after a new
Tell the
LA
truth.
Times report outlining explosive new allegations against the off-duty ICE agent who reportedly shot and killed the father of two.
At this stage, we are left puzzled, questioning what due diligence, if any, did ICE do either before hiring him or after.
LAPD said Keith Porter was firing celebratory shots into the air with an AR-15 style rifle. Homeland Security officials allege Porter pointed a rifle at the off-duty ICE agent during a confrontation. DHS claims the off-duty ICE agent responded to an active shooter situation at his apartment complex, and they say he was forced to use his weapon to protect his life and others. According to the LA Times report, court documents obtained by the outlet accuse the officer of child abuse and making racist and homophobic remarks in the past.
This appears to be a premeditated, isolated incident by somebody with a racial history who hunted him down and killed him steps away from his house.
The family's attorney says Porter was never a threat.
There has been not a single witness to come forward to indicate that they thought they were in fear of their safety from Keith Porter Jr. that night.
The attorney for the off-duty officer telling Fox 11 there's evidence of bullet holes in the wall to support that her client acted in self-defense.
Bullet holes in the wall.
And his community. She also says he
They
denies
claim
any racist remarks and claims the child abuse allegations were unfounded. But Porter's family and their attorney believe the allegations are enough to get the attorney general involved.
Conduct an independent investigation. Based off of these allegations, this could be race-related and certainly a hate crime.
So I showed you all the raw footage of that press conference, and I gave you the perspective that the news had in this situation. This is what's going on. I appreciate all of you for supporting this channel. Please share this video in all your social media. Share this video with people that you know. Share this video with people that are not aware of this, because as I said before, right now the media is completely all over the situation with Alex Purdy, right? And it was a shame what happened to him. 37 years old, worked for Veterans Affairs, right, as a nurse in intensive care. Then you had Good, terrible what happened to her. You know, nobody should lose their life, no matter what you think of any of these people. They shouldn't lose their life. But at the end of the day, nobody is really thinking about this young man right here, Keith Porter. He's not getting any heavy press. There's nobody talking about him on CNN, MSNBC, ABC News, NBC News, all the damn news, Newsmax, all of them. Nobody's giving this man any attention. Even at that press conference, you didn't see too many news agencies there. This is a shame. This is why, because the difference is when black men, I think what's happening, when black men get their life taken away, nobody cares anyway. And when there's so many of us that get our life taken away like this, I think people in this society are becoming desensitized to hearing about black life being lost. And I think that's the reason why everybody is going crazy over Good and crazy over Alex, because one, it was on video, right? We don't have any video evidence of what happened to Brother Keith Porter. But that doesn't really matter because we have seen people who have been caught being abused by the police, law enforcement on video, and we saw it happen and nobody still cared. And I think that's why Keith Porter, may he rest in power, born 1982 to 2026, I think this is why he's not getting much attention in the press, y'all. And I think it's a damn shame. I want to thank you for watching once again this video. Again, thank you for watching. Definitely subscribe to the channel, share the video on all your social media. Hit the bell notification if you like the content so far, and we'll be back with more. I really appreciate you all over here supporting the channel, rocking with me as much as possible. But this whole thing is a shame. Everything that's going on in our society right now is a shame. I just want to remind you as well that you can also hear me on the BS3 network. The BS3 network is a network that is on Roku TV, and you can hear me over there and see the show live when I go live over there on Roku
Tell
TV.
the truth.
You can definitely hear it. Let me play the call letters right now.
BS3 Network is now on Roku TV under BS3 TV. Download today.
All right. With that said, everybody, thank you. And I'll be back with more and more presentation. Thank you.
I'll do whatever. Let her know, I gotta let her know that she my white horse, she my medical. She like my baby mama, know how to take care of me. Give my baby problems, you gon' regret everything. So I let her know, gotta let her know. Came through the front door, I'll be ready for it. And if it's what you want, I'ma give it to you. Yeah, promise, I'ma give it to you. Like, la 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 la.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel. Information is power.
Tell the truth.